couple years back, I grew up with really bad depression, really bad anxiety, and probably like the worst of it all was the suicidal thoughts. Every morning I would wake up with this pain in my heart. I would like have so much anxiety that like my heart would actually really hurt, and it wouldn't go away for hours. Like I would get to school, it would still hurt. Back in like 2021, late 2021, early 2022, I wasn't living with my parents. I was hopping between friends' houses. Like I would go to my friend's house to sleep. My other friends, like it would just be like all over the place. And it came to a point where like really no one would take me in anymore, and I had to sleep outside. So it was cold outside, so I would get sick frequently. I would sleep outside on the benches, and I would wear the same clothes. I didn't have any clothes, so I would wake up on a bench outside, and I would go to school with the same clothes. And I did this for about like a couple of days. I wouldn't say like it was a long time that I was sleeping outside, but it was like 4 days that I was. And I would get made fun of at school for wearing the same clothes every day. People asked me if I was okay. Obviously my friends that actually cared, but I wouldn't tell anyone like my living situation. Luckily, my aunt found out about this and she took me in, but I still had really bad depression, really bad suicide thoughts, and I was addicted to alcohol and weed. Like, in the morning, I would get up, I would either smoke or drink. I would be in school, smoke. After school, smoke. To go to sleep, I would have to smoke. And every, like, minor inconvenience, I would have to smoke or drink just to, like, forget about it. Because when I was sober, like, my suicide thoughts were the strongest. It became an obsession on figuring out how I wanted to die, how I wanted to hurt myself. I could be like doing anything. I could be in school, like doing homework. I could like just be learning a lesson. I could be at work just doing the stuff that I need to do at my job. And the thought of killing myself literally took over my whole mind. It was just, like I said, like it just became an obsession. Like I couldn't stop thinking about how I wanted to die. And it caused me to like have like an ugly, nasty personality. It came to the point where I was at my aunt's house. I still had school, but I wouldn't get up out of bed. I wouldn't do the things that I needed to do. I would stay in bed. I wouldn't take a shower. I wouldn't brush my teeth. My room was disgusting. Like my room was so dirty. I just didn't care about myself at that point. Like, then again, like, throughout that whole time, I would just be in bed doing absolutely nothing. I would be thinking about how to kill myself. And people would be like, why'd you get a tattoo? Like, oh, your tattoo's cute, you know? And yeah, my tattoo, like, I like my tattoo, but I didn't want to get one at 16 years old. And people don't know why I got it. And it was because I had really bad self-harm scars that like everywhere I went, like if I went to a job interview, if I was meeting a new teacher, just meeting a new friend, it would be the first people that people would see. And I just didn't like that, so I went ahead and got a tattoo to cover it up. But almost all over my arms I would have self-harm scars. At this point of my life, I was lost and I was really isolated. I got into that argument with everyone I knew, especially my aunt. Me and my aunt would have the worst arguments. I would barely be home at her house. I got into arguments with my friends, and even the people that I knew since I was growing up with, they cut me off because I was just like a bad person, a toxic person, just someone that they didn't want to be around anymore. And, you know, I was alone. I was at this new school. I didn't know anyone, and I didn't have any communication to my old friends because, like I said, like I wasn't friends with them anymore. And it was just really hard for me to keep moving. So it comes down to the point where I just had enough. Like I said, like, yo, like it's time to go. And so my mom, she has a heart condition where like her blood pressure is too high, so she has to take medication to lower it. I went back to my parents' house. I went to the medicine cabinet and I took her medication. And I went upstairs to the bathroom and I looked in the mirror and I was just crying. So I took all the medication out of the bottle and I swallowed them. And I sat down on the bathroom floor and I laid there and I went to sleep. And my mom found out that someone was in the house. Obviously, it was me, so she was calling my name. And she got to the bathroom door realizing that it was locked. So she's banging on the door, like, trying to see, like, what I'm doing. Like, what am I doing in the house, you know? Like, why am I not, like, getting ready for school or anything? And I'm not responding, so eventually she gets the door open. And I am laying on the ground with an empty bottle of her prescription. And she knows that if you take too many of this medication, it could stop my heart. And she's like, do you know what you just did? Like, you're so stupid. And she's like crying and she's crying. And she woke up my dad because my dad was sleeping. And they rushed me to the ER. I was in the ICU for 2 weeks. It was a really painful experience. I don't want to get into it, but it was very hard to do simple things in the hospital. But at the end of my 2 weeks, you know, the doctor came up to me and was like, it's a miracle that my heart did not stop and I have no after effects. Because, you know, like, if you take too much medication, you can have an effect where it could just damage your whole body. I didn't have anything of that. I didn't have any damage to my body. I came out the hospital healthy. But of course, it's an Illinois state law that if you attempted to commit suicide, that you have to go to a mental hospital after to get after treatment. And so I was in the hospital, the mental hospital, for 2 months. And in these 2 months, I couldn't see my parents. I couldn't see my friends. I couldn't see anyone. I was just in a room with a bunch of people who suffer from depression like me. But the hospital story, that's like, it's pretty personal. And I know people that are probably watching this that I met in the hospital, and I don't want to out their business out there, but trust me, like, it's not somewhere that you want to be. Over the past couple of, you know, over the years, I've been in and out of mental hospitals. Like, I would get out and I would just go right back in because the suicidal thoughts were still very severe. And I, like I said, it's an obsession. At this time, I didn't know if I was passing my sophomore year and junior year. Because then again, like, sophomore year and junior year, I've been in and out of hospitals for like months on months. You know, they were basically saying that it wouldn't be possible for me to graduate on time. And I felt like my life was getting worse. I felt like my life was just on a negative slope because I still didn't have people. I would get drunk. I would go to parties, you know, I would do all this. I would look happy, but really, I didn't like who I was. I didn't like where I was in life. I was just depressed. But my auntie on my dad's side, someone that I never talked to my 16 years of living, found out what was happening to me, and she took me into her house just so I can like get adjusted, because this was when I just got out of the hospital. And being in the same place for 2 months, like not being able to go outside, like it could be a lot. So she had me adjust at her house. She started inviting me to the church after she found out how bad my depression was. And I like to say that she's my seed planter. She's a woman of wisdom and kindness. Talking to her or just being in her presence, being in her house, just like in and of itself, it just made me happy. She is also a woman of God. And after every church visit, she would take me up to the pastor and she would ask the pastor to pray for me. And we all prayed together. You know, when I was in church, I felt like I really felt different. I felt like a whole burden would just be taken off of me spiritually. Like, honestly, I would come in with heavy shoulders, and then when I would leave the church, they weren't there. Like, the weights on my shoulders were just gone. Like, I generally felt better after church. And I felt like, you know, like, people may say I'm crazy, but every time, I didn't go consistently, but every time I went to church, I felt like there was a direct message for me. It would be absolutely crazy, and it would just help me on how to get my life better. But obviously, going to church on Sunday and not living a Christian life can, like, do a lot to the soul. So it's like it's like a cycle. It's a toxic cycle. I would still be living my worldly ways, and, you know, I would still be depressed. So in April 2023, I was gonna make another suicide attempt. I was just gonna take twice as many medication as I did before, because I know that my dad also has the same heart medication that my mom has, and I was going to mix them. And I thought, you know, I have to do this because I do not want to go back to the mental hospital. Mental hospital, to me, it may help other people, but to me, mental hospital was the worst place to be at. I said, like, I have to do this. I have to do this right. I have to kill myself and make it definite. This will be my second suicide attempt, and it was just like, it was overwhelming for me. So I just start crying, and I'm crying. And I get this strong urge in the back of my head. I kid you not, I get this strong urge in the back of my head, bro, saying to just pray. Just pray. Lord. I'm sorry. But I prayed. And I knew nothing. Hold on. I knew nothing about Romans 10:13. And I said with my lips, and I believed it with my heart, because it was the only option, it was the only choice I had left. I had nothing. I like, to me, what it felt like, I had nothing else. And I said, Lord, Father, please forgive me for my sins. Please take away depression. Please take away everything. Just please make the thoughts stop. I prayed that. I prayed it 2 times. Just 2. And then I just cried, and I cried. And there was just like, I still had my hands together. And I just bowed my head, and I'm just crying some more. And all of a sudden, I just stopped crying. And I'm in silence. And I'm just like, you know, I'm gonna give it another day. You know, I put the medication back, and I went to sleep. And yo, I kid you not. The next morning, I had no anxiety throughout the whole day. 0 anxiety. My heart, when I woke up, it didn't hurt. When I woke up, I went to school. I got up out of bed. I took a shower. I brushed my teeth. I said hi to my aunt. I said good morning to my aunt. You know, like, it seems like so simple, but I haven't been doing any of this. I haven't been doing, like, the regular stuff I need to be doing consistently for a long time. But I went to school, and I thought, like, I went to school thinking throughout the day, like, he heard me. Like, because there's just no way. Like, it cannot be a coincidence that I prayed that prayer. And the next day, I wanted to live. Like, genuinely, I wanted to keep going. There was no pain in my heart. Yeah, I'm just thinking, I knew it was God. I know it was God. And so over the past couple days, or the past couple weeks, I've been posting about God. I'm trying to let people know. I'm trying to let everyone know about God. Like, what he did. Like, y'all, like, he literally took my anxiety away, my depression. And it's crazy because it happened like the next day. Like, obviously, like the next day I still had depression. I still, like, you know, was feeling sad. But the next day he took away my anxiety. Then a couple days later, I just have this urge to like keep doing better. Like, just, you know, I want to live for him. I had this urge to live for God. So everyone knows I'm very social media focused. Like, if y'all follow me, y'all know that I post a lot on social media. I post a lot on Instagram, TikTok. Those are my favorite apps. And I started to talk about God because I wanted everyone to know about God and what he did for me. A girl who I have never talked to. I didn't even know that I followed her on Instagram, but I did. And she slid up on my Instagram post because it was something about God. And she asked me if I was trying to get closer to God. Because keep in mind, I'm just now realizing that God did something for me. I still, like, you know, I'm kind of like, I don't know how to read the Bible. I don't know how to live a Christian life. I don't know what it means to be a Christian, basically. I didn't know what God was about. I didn't know any of that. So she asked me if I was trying to get closer to God and if I can join her Bible study. And around this time, I didn't like making friends because it was just a bad habit. Because, like, I felt like everyone I became friends with, they would just leave. I would stop being friends with them. So I got tired of making new friends because eventually I just had a thought that they were going to leave. But something in my head told me to respond with, yes, I would love to. Now that we talk about it, like, God is so good. God is so good. Literally, when me and Judy, her name is Judy, when me and Judy talk about it, she told me that she was skipping past my story. Like, every time she saw my story, she would skip past it. But when she saw a post about God, she skipped it. But something in the back of her head, God literally told her to go back and slide up on my post. And I tell you, if she did not do that, I will not be where I am right now. I will not be preaching the good news. I will not be making this testimony video. Week by week, I'm learning about the gospel. I still am learning about the gospel. I'm learning about what it means to be Christian. And I promise you, every time I learn something new about God, I feel rejoiced. I feel uplifted. Like, it was just something that I just kept wanting to chase. So I kept learning about God, doing what God wants me to do. And I was basically chasing after it because I felt good about it. But ever since I started learning more about God, I started opening my Bible, I started going to church consistently, going to these Bible studies, he has been working on your girl. Like, I tell you, like, I'm sorry, like, all my friends around me, all my old friends, they literally told me that I did a 360 on my life. I said it was God. All the time. Because when they say this, they don't see me drink. They don't see me smoke. I don't have anxiety. I don't talk about how much I want to die. I don't have the desire to die anymore. I back then, I didn't know what I wanted to be in the future. Now I have a solid plan of what I want to be in the future. I know what my future career is going to be. I know what route I'm taking. I want to be a parent. I want to have kids. Like, I want to have a family. I want to get married. I just, like, my parents, I'm sorry, like, this is so good. My parents, like, I had a really bad relationship with my parents, especially with my dad. Like, before this year, the past 2 years before that, I didn't talk to him at all. Ever since then, we had a better relationship. The best relationship that I had in my 15 years of living. Well, I'm 17 now, but, like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, God will fix broken bridges. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, God will fix burned bridges. Bridges that you thought will never be mended, never be molded into again, never be crossed again. He made it happen. When I didn't see a way, He gave me away. And also, I didn't know I was making it past 16, past 17. I'm about to be 18. I'm about to go to college. And my counselor had called me down saying that I have a chance to graduate with everyone on time, even though my grades in sophomore year were so bad. Like, my grades in sophomore year, junior year, they were probably like all D's and F's. But senior year, all my grades are A's. He called me down and he was just like, how did you do it? Because this is not the same Jaya from 2 years ago. This is not the same Jaya from last year. Even my friends, they're just like, how did you do it? Like, how did you make it stop? And all I say, it was God, because he saved me. After years of depression, after years of anxiety, after years of self-doubt, I just want to say, when there was no way, he made a way. He would always make a way. He would always help you. He would always guide you. He would always be there. And this is the good news. The good news is that he can save you. He can help you, because he sent down his one and only son on the cross to die so that everyone cannot perish but have everlasting life.